Definitely looks like he's just in a bowl of pee with some coins floating somehow. Like his urine is that dense that metal coins float on top of it. Or maybe he's just in a bowl of mac and cheese, which probably also is not inherently dense enough to cause coins to float. But I don't know. One of those two options. Either way, we're getting a first. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. It's Sunday night. We've got Phobie viewer games. We don't have as many as normal. Not for any particular reason, but we do have some interesting ones that were submitted because people were talking about them beforehand. I do need to record the quarterfinals matches and the finals matches for the tournament. And keep me honest to make sure, like, hit me up in Discord to make sure I do that. Because I do want to, like, get those for posterity, if nothing else. I think it's important for that sort of thing to exist, which, in fact, I'm going to post it in my Discord. Unfortunately, because I was sick like the last week, I just didn't have time to get through everything. Couldn't get everything done that I wanted to. But either way, we're going to be looking at some Phobies games tonight. Of course, I have to let everybody know at the start that I am part of the content affiliate program. That means the Phobies team gives me coffee for producing Phobies content. Speaking of coffee, we once again have our cool Halloween celebration skin, I guess, overlay, whatever, but part of it is you have a chance to win 10K coffee. We, of course, have a little jack-o'-lantern Vendy here. You love to see it. But we're going to jump in. So the first one up, we're going to do a little back-to-back action. Hopefully I don't accidentally jump out of the profile like I always do. Got a quicker one. Chickenraigo got Moly Bully not too long ago and helped me win that game. We're here on the big house. Yeah, Moly Bully is funny. Because for a long time, I felt Moly Bully was extremely underrated. And in retrospect, I think Moly Bully was underrated at the time. But overall, Moly Bully is just kind of a vanilla phobie. It's a French vanilla phobie, so to speak. If you're not familiar with the card gaming term, vanilla is a creature or phobie that does not have any special game text. So think like a cowbell or a razor mouth. It's just a generic stat block. A French vanilla phobie is one that is basically just a stat block, but has like a minor ability. In this case of Moly Bully, it's going to be Burrow. And that is very valuable in a variety of situations, but you don't see it as much because things have kind of outclassed it. The game has grown beyond what Moly Bully offers. And I don't know that it's bad. As always, the issues with phobies kind of come down to the economy for the game. And things have definitely improved. Shout out to the devs for fixing some things. But a lot of the pain with phobies related to acquisition, related to leveling, related to indirectly matchmaking, is because you do have to invest so much time and energy. And it's not time and energy invested because, oh, I need to learn how to properly play the game. That is part of it. But what's really happening in most cases is I have to invest so much time and energy simply because I have to invest so much time and energy in order to level guys up, to acquire guys, which, don't get me wrong, we've talked about it before. It is a business. They have to do these things to keep the lights on. There's levels to it, though. It doesn't quite have to be this much. It is what it is. Either way, we do have a 4-to-1 panic point advantage in favor of our hero. 6 keys banked up. Kind of a big threat here in the form of this Thunder Rocks, threatening the Bowmangles, which beat feet to get out of there. But we got Moly Bully following things up. You got to be careful of that Innocuous. It is clearly a big advantage on this particular map. Bad guy's going to go ahead and reclaim the panic point advantage. But they do need to kind of stay in appropriate range with the Innocuous. This Innocuous can cover a decent swath of area. I don't love that our hero went with Numbskull early on. One movers are challenging enough, let alone, like, this is a one mover melee. It's not a big investment key-wise, but I don't think it's doing much for you. It's clearly intended to be a damage soak, and of course you can get a little bit of AoE because it could hit, say, 2 tiles. But I'm not a huge fan of it personally. Either way, we have a nerfed Innocuous that is now threatened, most likely, by this Ray Chargels. Still got a little bit of a cough. That's about it. And I'm hoping it goes away in the next day or two because it's fucking annoying me. It's now at the annoying stage where it's just like, come on, I'm not sick anymore. Can we stop? You ever have that where, like, you're sick and there are stages of sick where it's like, okay, the sickness is oncoming. I know I'm getting sick. Then it's like, okay, I'm actually sick. Like, I'm fucking sick. Like, I got a fever or whatever. And then it's like, okay, now we're over it. We're clearly done. Come on, body. Like, let's be done with this now. Let's move on to the next phase of our life. I'm at that phase where it's just like, all right, come on. Come on now. Let's wrap this up. Wrap it up, B. I'm not going to lie. I don't feel like this Moly Bully did a whole hell of a lot. Hold up. What the f... The last I checked, you start with Jar. The last I checked, you start your collection with Jar Cannon. Do we need to have, like, bad guy checked for amnesia? Early onset dementia? What is happening? Come on. Come on, buddy. Like, your Jar is going to get cooked, too. Like, you're probably cooked here no matter what, but, like, what are we banking to 7 for? You're going to lose everything here. You absolutely lose everything here now. You probably lose everything anyway? No, you would have kept, like, the cassowary. I think the cassowary would have lived, and it would have been the only thing that survived. Actually, well, you would have had cassowary Jar. Because Moly Bully would have been dead, which means you wouldn't have had enough damage to finish the cassowary. The cassowary can then retaliate, probably kill the snowball. The Jar then gets a couple pot shots. You wouldn't have Onion Man here. But Bad Guy did not do a good job of protecting the Innocuous after the Ray showed up. He kind of just like, all right, you got me. Checkmate. Moly Bully now is putting in a lot of work, but he should not have put in a lot of work. He should have been dead. Realistically. How many flies do you think Moly Bully has eaten, given that? Like, look at him. Hold on. Look at Moly Bully. How many flies do you think Moly Bully has eaten when his mouth is just, like, perpetually open like that? Does he close it when he attacks? I don't even know. You don't have to do all this. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. You don't have to do all that. GG. GG. All right, we got a second chickenraigo game. Second game to look at. This one. Holy shit, what? Blink and you'll miss it. Transaction declined. A really fast game, but still wanted to show it. Tell me if you like it or not. Game like these. You can always submit whatever game. We've watched games that are literally hundreds of turns. we've watched games that are this short. I don't remember what the shortest game we've ever watched is. Like, okay, that's a question for chat. And a question for the YouTube comments. What is the fastest possible victory, obviously ignoring concessions? Like, if your opponent is actually playing the game. Even then, it gets tough because your opponent has to kind of cooperate to some degree to allow for super fast victories, right? Like, they have to be they ignore what you're doing. And then it's just a question of like, well, which openers do we count as legitimate? Because if they bank to 9 on a small map because like, oh, I just want to get my big guy out and they give up the whole board, that's going to be a quick game. But is that reasonable? Like, how do we define what the fastest game possible is where your opponent actually plays the game? It would have to be, no matter what, your opponent just manages to never kill a phobie, kind of, or they're going to, like, kill the cowbell here, or something irrelevant is what I'm guessing. So, like, this numbskull is going to be able to get an AoE hit. What? What are we doing? What is happening? Speaking of Moly Bully. Bad guy lost on the turn where they decided to, like, hide everybody behind the heart. Like, you know the heart matters, right? This isn't like a Hallmark card thing. Or, like, follow your heart. You like, the heart matters. I understand, oh, you got to use your life total as a resource, but there's a limit to that. GG. So for the record, you do get all the points if you win. You don't have to, like, go and attack their guys and activate abilities and shit. You get all the points. If you're losing, it's worth it because, like, you would not get those points otherwise. But if you win, you get all the points as if you killed everything. So, GG. Yeah, I don't mind quick games or anything like that. Honestly, I kind of prefer them because they're faster. But there are interesting things that can happen in short games. So it's not like, oh, it's a short game, nothing happens, so therefore it doesn't matter. In fact, it is highlighting how quickly a game can end like that is important because you then can identify from the other end, like, okay, well, I need to watch out for this type of opener. Or you can just catch people unawares where, like, okay, I do this thing. In that particular match, I think it really just came down to bad guy just done fucked up. It's a fact of the matter. All right. All right. Karst, our hero. Thinking caps, notepads, and everybody at attention, please. Early high-level Preacher match, he's not just a standard 3-range phobie, but is pretty dang hard to use. I think Bad Guy made some smart plays trying to counter it. So we'll have to see here. We were talking about this briefly offline. And I guess I didn't articulate it very well when I was trying to describe it to Karst and everybody else. My initial thought when I saw Preacher was like, if this were a card game and it had a rotation, and it was because I was talking about Star Wars Unlimited at the time, often in rotations, so you lose, you're not allowed to play with some of the game pieces anymore, and they give you other ones. Often what companies will do at those sort of time frames is they reset power levels, where they change power levels and expectations, where, okay, well, now a 3-key phobie is worth doing this. A 4-key phobie is worth doing this. A 3-ranger is now this. And Preacher kind of felt like that because of the setup required in order to get the 3-range. Like moving in, planting yourself, then you get to shoot. So you can't do the walk up, poke, or poke, walk away, and kite something. I think that it's not really a direct comparison. It's not a direct parallel, so it is kind of a strained analogy. But the point is that it is 3 range. It's going to get compared to the Sentinels and other things. It does serve a different purpose. I like the idea. I really do like the idea of Preacher. It seems unique. It seems interesting. I don't know that it's going to be very good. I just struggle to see when you would want Preacher instead of Firkin. Like, locking down abilities seems good. It's like, oh yeah, I can turn this stuff off. But because it's rooted to a spot, that spot like inherently means that the positioning for it matters, and getting it into position and defending that position is going to be extremely difficult. So here is Preacher. I did preview this. Every other content creator previewed it too. 6 key. Karst did put in a lot of effort into accelerating this, leveling it up. So you can see it's already level 23. So it's baseline melee. It does a fair amount of damage. Like this, I didn't do the comparisons because when I did the recording ahead of time, I was pretty sick, so I didn't have a chance to do it. But we're on comparable levels here. You can see 800 here at level 21 for Hercules, and this is 830 at level 23. So it's a little bit less than Hercules, which is something that people have felt statistically is overpowered, or I've seen that comment a lot. So take that for what you will. You can look at compare the level 1s, but it's a decent damage level. But the main thing here is the rooting when you do Sermon. So it becomes immobile. And then for 2 hexes around it, you get the ability dampening, which turns stuff off. It looked like you do get the cooldown still. Like if you use the ability then walk in, it'll still cool down, but you won't be able to activate the ability. But here's the thing, like this map and this setup from Karst is actually really good. And I have to assume that Karst had planned this out. I mean, I doubt it was just like, oh, hey, I could do this as soon as he zoned in. I think Karst was on the lookout to set this up. But because you can set up the dampening, it'll prevent things from very easily reaching Preacher. And then Preacher here, you know, you can get in a position to shell the heart. Not specifically from where it is right now, but like in general, if you can get it up here. Yep, that's where I figured where it would go. So now, pretty soon we're going to see the ability go off, and then it's got a direct line to the heart, and bad guy is going to have to do something. The radiator here is a good idea to try and dive, because you could just walk up right now and then represent some damage immediately. I feel like more people need to use Radiator. He's way too good. I feel like he's underrated still. All right, so we're going to be setting up here. We got a little cupcake action. Hypothetically, you can dive something here, but you can't kill the Hercules. And you're not going to be able to kill the Radiator because you don't have the range yet. All right, so now we activate. So you can see the cloud here, and you get the 3-range attack. But you can see the cloud here, which personally, I think the cloud needs better particle effects. Like, it is pretty difficult for me to tell this. Like, this is the arc. It's obviously a radius, but, like, it's difficult to see that. It does not feel like Preacher is very obviously in 3-range mode to me. Like, I think it needed a greater model difference, but either way, massive panic point advantage for our hero. But you have the 3 Rangers set up. Hercules, what is Hercules' range? Well, we already did Murder of Bees because it could hit the Electrocat that was here. I think that's going to be one of the challenges is like, you can't stop an attractor. So we're deactivating and beating feet out of there. I do think that the response from bad guy is kind of what you'd see. You need to just threaten a dive because you can't... If this was a regular Sentinel, you could just kind of walk up, poke, and get those pot shots off so that it makes the dive more challenging because you've already taken damage. But because Preacher has to get set up, it's tough. It's tough. And the ability power down clearly didn't matter because Hercules was able to do its thing anyway, right? It did prevent her... Like, Hercules wouldn't be able to walk in and activate Murder of Bees, but because it could hit something nearby and you're presumably going to be defending the Preacher, it gets tough. And here's the same Sentinel issue where you can plant it here. Wait, is it in range? 1, 2, 3. No, it cannot hit the heart from here. So you're going to have to reposition, which takes the entire turn. As compared to a Sentinel, where not only could you have moved up and then poked a Radiator, but then you could move next turn to reposition and continue the attack. Big multi-hit here thanks to Cupcake. Takedown. Ooh. We even get the Creepy Devil hit. The Yeti is interesting. Bad guy down 3 keys or hero on 2. We can get a Blom here, but I don't know if we're going to offer up the Puff as a sacrificial lamb to freeze. Is Karst going to go for the high 5 heart hit? I have to imagine. No, I guess not. Could you... Yeah, there's still a lot of heart health. It seems like there's more damage on the heart, and the panic point advantage makes it even more pressure. Takedown, takedown, takedown. And then there were 2. Yeah, I really, really like Preacher from a design perspective. Like, it's really cool. It's very interesting. Dude, my nose is so itchy. I need to trim my mustache again. I really like Preacher from a design perspective. It's a really cool idea. The problem is, I just don't think he's... I don't know. We'll have to see if he's good. Right now, I'm not optimistic, is the problem. I will say that I like that they're trying these ideas. I think that it is important to try and push the boundaries on these things. But I don't think that he is really going to make a big splash, unfortunately. I could be wrong. Maybe he'll end up being great. But there are things that I think just from a design position are not spectacular. All right, we had a few short ones, so PVZ is going to come in here on Coin to Me and drag it out with a 30-turn game. Shout out to Bad Guy with the Preacher avatar. That's actually pretty dope. That looks sick. The Sacrificial Lamb grants its team victory. I guess we'll see what's going on there. I was checking some pings in Discord. Oh, God. My bad. I didn't switch. I hope I didn't fuck up the switch on the other game. Whatever. Anyway. What was I going to say? So I was checking pings in Discord because I was casting Star Wars Unlimited for a sector qualifier. It was a 500-person, roughly, tournament in Portland this weekend. I had the ability to cast one of the rounds because we had an enormous cast of casters. There was like 12 or 15 different casters that were helping out for the different rounds. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And I managed to not, like, cough into the mic and hack into the mic for all 50, 60 minutes of the round. Hercules. Once again, we're getting a lot of Hercules. Hercules. You know what's interesting is let me... While we're watching, while I'm thinking of it, I don't think they gave us the art assets for the new Phobies. Yeah, the last update, I think, was in August. I'd love to put Preacher on the thumbnail, but I don't think that's going to happen. Unbearable? What? What are we doing here? Look, I love Unbearable, but my man needs a buff. Does he, though? I don't know. Unbearable is one of those classic Phobies that, like... I think there is a tipping point where if he gets too much more damage, he might be very, very difficult to ever dislodge. You know, you stick him behind the appropriate obstacle, and then he's just lobbing for days. You can never approach it, because he'll leech so much health. But as he stands, I'm just not very impressed with him most of the time. Either way, speaking of Firkin, which, by the way, it does... I know it's supposed to be like, oh, these are the coins, and the rest of the thing is filled with coins. It definitely looks like he's just in a bowl of pee, with some coins floating somehow. Like his urine is that dense that metal coins float on top of it. Or maybe he's just in a bowl of mac and cheese, which probably also is not inherently dense enough to cause coins to float. But I don't know. One of those two options. Either way, we're getting a Firkin to Firkin the Firkin. Yo, dog, I heard you like Firkin, so we'll Firkin your Firkin while you Firkin your Firkin. Sure. There are two other Phobies that are pretty good targets as well, but we're going to choose not to hit them. Because Tank Catapult. We got a mummy into a bad sheep. Notably, Firkin is in fact still a lobber. And this is kind of a cool setup because you kind of lock the mummy in there unless it wants to go right next to the bad sheep, and I don't think there's enough damage to kill the sheep even with the gonzo. Like, you could burrow the mummy, push the Unbearable, and then buff with the gonzo, but I doubt that's enough damage to kill the bad sheep, and then you're just going to have a bad day. Gonna have a bad day. The methodical push. Really? Is this enough damage with the Evo? This still seems like somewhat reasonable bait because you get the Motherload AoE, the Hercules AoE, into a boom, into Snowball. Like, there's a lot of things that can go sideways for bad guy here. Are you just going to get annihilated here? I feel like you're just going to get annihilated. Bad guy was just way too excited. That's actually really good. And then you get the boom hit. Dude, like, come on, bad guy. Getting smoked here. Bees! Not as much carnage as I was hoping for. Can you get... Oh, you can get this mummy. All right. You got to at least get the mummy. Bad guy lost like 80 billion keys there. Give or take a few. Who is pinging me? What are we doing here, preacher man? We're breaking some obstacles. I'm still a little confused as to where exactly the bones on Gravedigger are popping out of. Like, the one all the way on the left looks like it's coming out of his spine, but the other ones look like they might just be sticking out from under his arm. You know what I mean? Where are those bones coming from? It's a very weird perspective shot. Either way, we got a flesh crawler motherlode stare down, the classic rivalry. Power down onto flesh crawler. Interesting. There are a couple targets there because Gonzo's going to be live soon if it's not already. I could hit the other Firkin. It's probably a waste. And that Firkin from Bad Guy has not gotten a lot of value. We're just going to murderize the Gonzo. Halfie to body block. This is one of the better halfies I've seen. Didn't have any keys left, or few keys left at the time. Able to set it up. Bad Guy's just kind of smoked. This is, as we say in the business, cooked. Down goes Gravedigger. Soon to be the rest of Bad Guy's team. This is pretty well played. Pretty one-sided after that one engagement. Bad Guy just got a little greedy. It's like, oh, I can get the mummy connection. Let me get some mini-me's. Nah, man. Not worth it. Mistakes were made. Oh, Bad Guy, don't run away. Like, the game is over. Just let our hero defeat you. What are we doing? Please tell me we're not going to try and race. Oh my god. Why? Why are we doing this? Why is it like this? Tentacles. I have no words. This is probably safer. I mean, I guess you could have ran down the flesh crawler instead, but like, it doesn't matter. This game is absolutely decided, and we're ending it in one of the silliest ways possible. Of all the ways to end this game, this is, in fact, one of the ways. I don't know that it would have ended. I don't know that it would have ended dramatically quicker. I guess it technically could have ended 4 turns sooner, because if Bad Guy had not just run their flesh crawler off into the corner and stood and fight, or stood and fought, our hero would have just clobbered it. So that's 4 turns of my life I want back. GG. I blame you for this, Bad Guy. You did this. You brought this on yourself. All right, we gotta hold on. We gotta shape up for this one. We gotta lock in. I'll break this out afterwards. Future me, editing me, remember to do this. We got a tournament game, so I'm gonna load in, and then we'll do the. Actually, we'll do an intro now, I guess. We'll do another intro and outro and stuff, but I'll leave this in the recording. Welcome back, everyone. We have another tournament game for you, but it's getting close to the end. This is one of the semi-final matches between nuclrardeath and Big She MK. You probably heard these names before on stream, because I stream Phobies pretty frequently. Check that out. Links down in the description. And these guys have shown up and showed an incredible set of games in the past, but we're going to have to see what they have in store today. We're going to zone in and we're going to get into it right now. All right, so the map here is Phobos, as mentioned, nuclrardeath in the blue trunks and Big She, pointing the wrong way, over here in the orange trunks. Now, as we're getting started, I, of course, have to let everybody know I am part of the content affiliate program. That means that the Phobies team does, in fact, give me coffee for producing Phobies content, such as reviewing some of these games. Now, Phobos is a map that was, we'll say, maligned when it first released way back a few years ago in the very first major update for the game. We did get a minor one where we got Poison Ivy and Blinky, but that's besides the point. Here, we're going to see a rather interesting opener, and we've had a few years of experience with this map to develop new strategies and, of course, add new Phobies to the mix. K9000 plus 2 1-drops into Gin Sting and Boom in order to try and contest this super important middle stim. Tooth Fairy, Boom, and Razormouth are trying to contest here. Are we going to see the Boom? We're not going to see the Boom off the stim or the Boom into the double hit onto K9 and Tickles here. Follow-up Gin Sting. Of course, both players are being very cautious, trying not to be too close to that particular stim so their opponent can dive and then blow up their team with a big push. Instead here, we're going to go for the pick on the Razormouth, threatening a little bit of potential aggressive position. K9000 allows for control of the center. Not going to give that up too easily because the damage from Gin Sting and Tooth Fairy is just not that high in general. Oh, actually, take it back. We're going to rethink this. Our orange player here is not capable of actually possessing the stim due to the movement. So nuclrardeath here did not seem to be too compelled. We're getting the classic two-player, second player response from the Gravedigger here to break the obstacle in order to allow for an easier defense of the heart. And then a Gonzo Bonzo follow-up. So any sort of offense, even backed by this cupcake, is likely to be stymied by the counterattack. However, this means that our blue player is able to sneak all the way into the corner, stabilize these panic points, and in fact, actually take a panic point advantage. Billy coming out. Although recently nerfed, everybody's fiery cactus friend is still a threat, and of course, with the already pre-existing cupcake, that's a big threat. There are big, bad things that can happen to our orange player, Big She. Now, Big She has as mentioned earlier, shown up many times on my channel where we're reviewing games. A Mildred enjoyer, we'll say, definitely has put on a show on many occasions, including against me, on the ladder, utilizing Mildred. Well, banking up to 10 here, we're going to have to see if that signature phobie does in fact make an appearance. I don't know that I'd love it here. It is a larger map, can definitely spread out more, although there is a fight over that central tile, and maybe that's a big enough draw. Not today, though. We're going to get a boss deployment. Burning up 9 keys between the boss and the bachelor is this enough to actually allow our orange player to stage a counterattack? You need to invade here at some point. So we're going to get the free shot here, it looks like, thanks to the additional action from Billy. Move up, get the pot shot, get back to safety. Pushing the advantage even further by sending Boom in to actually claim a panic point and backing it up with Akira. This is where dangerous things are starting to happen. The clock is now ticking for Big Shi. Not only do you have some early chip damage on one of your Phobies, this Akira is going to cause some serious issues very quickly. We get the Boom trade here. I don't love this so far, but you do have to make something happen before the Akira can go off. That being said, your opponent's going to have the ability to get the stim. They're going to have the ability to send off that cupcake. And even though we're going to get the Gonzo empowered hit here, leveraging the Gravedigger obstacle in order to extend your range, I don't know that that's enough. We do get one Phobie kill here, and there is a ton of fire that's going to be chipping away at our blue player's health total. But the cupcake here is going to empower Billy, and that's potentially 3 hits. Oof. Yikes. We're getting the stim hit. We're getting, like, leveraging your opponent's own obstacle against them via the Akira AoE. Who needs the actual yoink? We're going to put down a ton of fire damage under boss. Taste your own medicine, so to speak. And that was a pretty effective counterattack. The spread on our blue player's Phobies means that this follow-up Noxious that Big Shi deployed on the previous turn isn't quite going to get the connection that I think they were hoping for. And at this point, it's still a 4-2 panic point advantage. Big map, so the damage is accruing, but isn't quite at the danger thresholds just yet. So the follow-up is going to be a stabby. It's a thing you can do, but it's 8 keys to 8 keys. Repositioning Billy. What's the follow-up for nuclrardeath going to be? Or nuclrardeath, if you prefer. Radiator. I was just talking about this on Viewer Games, where I think that Radiator is still underestimated at this stage. I think that people do not put enough respect on Radiator's name. We're going to see if it can actually make a bigger name for itself right here. Get a little Shove Shark action. There are, of course, 4 Abyss tiles available on this map. It will make the positioning more complex, and thanks to the Akira, who's now live, we're going to see some big plays soon. Russell is the follow-up, often the counter to Akira, because that poison is global, and it's going to force our blue player into doing something. We're seeing potentially the tides turn here, because if you can hang on even for a turn or two after the Russell goes off, the softening of your opponent's Phobies, it's a big advantage. Uh-oh. We are going to see a... Oh, no. Gonzo Juice and the stim onto Billy. I gotta see this. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, that's so much damage. That's so much damage! Remember, everything's set to level 1 in this tournament. Everything is set to level 1, so doling out that level of pain is huge. And the Russell that seemed to be the entire game plan, 8 keys, up in smoke. We do get a Gonzo Noxious Spit, but the trade-off here is just not what you need. Billy finally goes down, but I don't think anybody would say that the Billy did not get value. That Billy absolutely got its keys worth of value. Panic points are stabilized. The game is certainly not over. It is 5 Phobies to 5. However, only 1 key remaining for our blue player, 0 for orange, and now it's 6 to 5 Phobies. However, 2 of them are 1 keys, Cowbell and Bachelor. Finnegan himself is not that big of a threat. if you just are cautious about the abyss tiles, it is not unreasonable for Big She to still manage to pull this off. We're going to see a big hurt go down onto this Jin Sting. Is this Jin Sting just dead? I don't think it's just dead. I doubt Big She would have blundered in that fashion, but it's definitely not going to be happy. No! Oh, no. Losing the Jin Sting, that's a huge chunk of your offense, and the concession comes in. Yeah. Yeah. Well played. GG. So as mentioned, that is part of the semi-finals for the Phobies tournament. I'm going to try and get the other semi-finals recorded as well as the finals. But this was an exciting event. I'm very happy that they ran it, and I'm hoping that we get to see more of these events in the future. But that's going to do it for this time. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And tune in next time for more Random Thoughts. All right, Chad. Let's get on with the rest of the viewer games. I'm glad that they submitted that one. Oh, whoop. I want to mark that as done. We didn't do this one yet. Penultimate game for tonight, chat. Oh my god. All right. What are we doing here, Mago? Goon doing goon things. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? We've all been on the internet too long. You gotta be a little careful with that hashtag phrasing. We got a 41 turn game, so everybody strap in. I got nothing. I was trying to think of something quickly. I got nothing. Jammy fish. All right, Jammy. Jammy into 2-1-1. Huh. Interesting opener. This does allow for a fair amount of captures, and the creep can threaten the Razormouth if it doesn't take the defensive position. If it takes an offense, or if it does take the defensive position, rather, you can then just send the creep in, but the creep will die here, thanks to the Hevo follow-up. I don't know, this is kind of interesting. Jammyfish can also try and take that bottom tile. Is it possible for it to die? I think it's unlikely. It's probably possible. Ooh, the boomer can probably live. That's true. Huh. Alright, this is kind of cute. It's kind of cute. Blue! Interesting. Very interesting. Creepy devil, all right. This opener from Bad Guy is very interesting. I don't know. I keep saying that, but like Jammyfish is fascinating to me. You know, I kind of like the blue as well. Whoa, Cecilia? All right, sure, whatever. You got me. Yeah, I don't... Jammyfish openers are just very intriguing to me. But the blue going to the bottom here is also interesting because even if you kill it, it does allow for a minor modicum of board control as a result of doing that. Very interesting. Bad sheep. So we're picking off a couple or a single key here. We're going to be probably trading some stuff, some pot shots. Cecilia, she only does the tiles, right? Yeah, she doesn't, I mean, she could create a tile, but she doesn't confer disease through her attacks or anything. So rare to see a Cecilia. Such a rare sight. That is kind of annoying. Why Prometheus, though? Is this just a show-off that you can do these things? Maybe this is an experiment by bad guy. Like, you know, okay, I want to try this strategy. What if I just load up their entire board with all these tiles? Which, I think most of these tile interaction phobies are mostly... that's a big bad sheep hit. Because those are all dimensional, I think. I think all of the tile interaction phobies are roughly costed correctly. Like, you can't have them be one keys, right? But in order to make that happen, I think they kind of have to be, which... Okay, so here's a phobia idea. What if when... Wait, Dr. Dermick, what? All right, let's say that you had a one-key phobia, and on death, it created a tile. So, like, you could have a cycle of them. So one does poison, one does lava, one does disease. Maybe one does abyss. So you could have them assigned to, like, maybe monster does fire. Undead does disease. Dimensional does abyss. It would probably be healing spa instead, but, like, instead of abyss, but, like, you know, you could assign them to each of the phobia types, and then they all get a one key. Then when they die, they create the tile. I would like it to be permanent, but based on what they've done, it seems like they don't really want that to be a thing. Wait, what? I guess it's not going to get diseased again, so who cares? Very weird. Like, is the bad sheep that important to preserve when your opponent has demonstrated Dermick and Blulian? Yeah, guy, you know the bad sheep can hit the Prometheus and the Leela again, right? Not that it matters. They're standing on a fucking healing spa. This feels like something bad can happen to our hero here, but I'm not seeing it. Fire tiles. 12 keys available to our hero. They're maxed out, but they don't have to be. I have to imagine that we're going to get a bad sheep explosion here. Maybe not. Oh, repositioning action. What is happening here? These are, like, they don't last forever, right? Yeah. There we go. I was going to say, it felt like that disease tile was out there forever. 4 turns is a long time. That being said, bad sheep is cooked anyway. That death whale. Do you have enough damage to even push this away? I feel like there were some windows lost here. Because, yes, you couldn't have popped the boom for value. But you could have popped the boom for tempo. Well, the boom's going to get the job done here, I think. Wait, what? We're still not activating the boom? Why not pop these two? Are you worried about Hevo dying? Ooh, this is a good setup because that Noxious is definitely going to create some awkward questions for Erratic right now. I love the way that Prometheus and what the hell's the one Luffy likes? The freeze version that I can't think of right now. Why am I drawing a blank on the name? Oh my god. Dude, why can't I think of the name? This is going to bother me. This is going to bother me. Everybody in the comments are going to be like, it was this. How could you not remember the unnecessarily nerfed, whatever the hell his name is? Alright, so we're going to disease our creepy devil. So why not? You definitely don't want to disease the goon, that's for sure. Although I guess maybe the goon would be a better thing to allow the disease to hit on, because you could probably heal it off forever. You think that's what Phobie World hospitals for undead are? It's just them, like, setting up punching bags for the undeads to feed off of? Because you're never curing the disease. But you could keep them alive. I keep wanting to call the freeze version of Prometheus Icebreaker. And I don't know why, because that's not their name. Rocket Man. Rocket Man. That's what it is. We fixed it, chat. We remembered. We're only halfway through this game. Dude, what is going on? Just Goon Thing shows up halfway through the game and then just punches this guy in the neck. That's all he does. Didn't even kill the Prometheus. Both players out of keys. You got to win with what you got on the board. Disease and poison respectively. So you can get a Blom here, but that's not going to be a great one, and you're probably going to open yourself up to Erratic in the process. You might be able to dive Erratic here. It's probably very unlikely. Oh my god, you can kill it? No way! Wow. I don't know that I love the Noxious positioning, though. You could have gone on the obstacle to kill it. Unless you were worried about, like, body blocking for the goon, which is possible, because if you didn't body block, then the goon is probably dead. So that's fine. Rocket Man. Fire Rocket Man. Evo done dead. Blom. Could have hit 3 there, though. Are you going to do a spit retreat? You can't. That should be on cooldown. We do get the Innocuous kill, though, which is pretty important. Creepy Devil's kind of taking its life in its hands. It's only going to get... Oh, it could get a couple more turns. Dude, how does this go on for 20 more turns? Does somebody run away? Like, I'm not even sure how this happens. Wait, what? Is that... I guess. I mean, Slayer does a decent amount of damage, but like... These one-shot bombs, when there are lines available, are crazy. It's probably correct, because you're only damaging these, you're powering up Halfy, you're leaving the Slayer on the board. It just feels so weird. We do get to beat up... Oh, you don't kill it? No, not like this. That's wild that you couldn't kill it. So the entire, like, tile plan was very cute. Doesn't seem good enough. I mean, the tiles, we've talked about this before. The tiles are not... Wait, do they scale? Yeah, they have to. There's no way it does 332 normally. Steal your healing spa. The tiles themselves are just not that impactful when they're on the board. Being able to position them yourself is relevant, but I think for all of the tile interaction phobies, the main thing is going to be removal. It's permanent as opposed to impermanent with the creation. And then even in this scenario where we saw multiple times Bad Guy was able to create tiles literally under the feet of our heroes' phobies, it didn't matter. Bad Guy definitely runs here, doesn't he? Where is the Halfy going? Oh, dude, I'm so tired. I don't understand. What are we doing here? And there are 4 more turns. That means that Bad Guy runs. Like, bro, why? Why? I don't understand why people do these things. It doesn't even... It's unreal. I guess the, like, 15 extra tiers you got. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. GG. Goon did that. Goon definitely did some things that game. I don't know that it was, like, humongously impactful, but Goon did do some things. Wrong browser. There we go. All right, we're closing it out on Scopoceum with Super Piggy. Oh boy, we got some notes here. Enjoy this game where my half-asleep brain decided that my phobies are more important than my heart. I genuinely have no idea how I didn't lose. Those are sometimes the funniest games. They're not so funny when you lose. Like, if you actually do end up losing, it is incredibly frustrating. But if you can manage to pull out the dub, it's okay. Now, this is a map that a lot of people misunderstand how aggressive it can be. All you have to do is watch some Alien Engineer games with Unicorn. Baroni, if you will. I don't know why I said unicorn, because that's an actual phobie, but watch some Brony games with Alien Engineer on this map, and you can see where you can just get locked out very easily. And it's just like, all right, I have 2 turns of free reign to either maul your team or completely tear apart your heart. One or the other. A little boggart action. We do have control of the middle for our hero. We got a little honey bear coming in. A honey bear. A honey bear. A honey bear. Honey bear still makes me uncomfortable. A little gross. Brutewurst. Speaking of uncomfortable and gross. He's literally got the meat sweats. Literally got the meat sweats. That's a free pickup there? I don't really understand that one, bad guy. Notably, we're not deactivating any lava right now, which is interesting. Like, I don't know. I feel like you should have done it already if you were going to do it. Like, what are we waiting for with the honey bear? Alright, beating up the creep. I mean, you have control of the panic points. And you're in position to kind of fight any attempt to take them over. So, very curious to see where things go sideways. Sheep can't reach the top left. Not right now. Bad guy could claim their panic point back. It looks like that's what they're going to do. You don't obviously want the erratic to get diseased. Which means that this positioning is going to get awkward. Because it can't stay where it is, and it cannot advance. So you kind of need to move the erratic down in order to... like, I think it needs to be where boggart is in order to threaten the Hydra. But we're doing like a full retreat here. What are we doing? Alright, sheep's going to go after boggart, apparently. Oh, we got disease and poison. You do get not a free sheep, but you get a sheep here. This is why the erratic needed to have gone where the Contortio now is. There was no way for it to connect with, like, the sheep to connect with it, or for the Brutewurst to. And it might have been tempting for bad guy to hold on to the Brutewurst activation, but I feel like they would have utilized it. Okay. I was waiting to see if the sheep died to the lava, so I didn't feel like clicking on it, but I'm like, that has to die, right? That is a Hydra uncontested there, though, and that's kind of spooky scary, and bad guy is getting in position. And I'm telling you, if that erratic was down there already, this wouldn't have mattered. And I think you might be able to tank the brute worst disease, at least for a little bit. Which would allow you to push this away and then eventually kill the brute worst. And at worst, you end up, like, if erratic trades for brute worst, I don't think you hate yourself too much with that. And we got a little bug across the top. Bad guy's gonna pull Omega? It's out of our hero, not bad guy, but Omega? We were talking about Brony. This is bad. Wait, what? Okay. I don't think breaking that block was necessary. I mean, I guess this prevents the splash a little bit. Or not the splash, the direct hit onto the Hydra. So this is active already. I didn't realize it was only a 1-turn warm-up. A lot of these abilities are now moving to 2-turn warm-ups. But I don't know that Omega matters too much here. I love that. Okay, I take it back. Omega matters a lot here because that Daisy took out the cassowary. That's a dead Hydra. 0 keys to 1. This is going to come down to the wire. 2,500 health and change. Dude, how do you win this? Because you have to claim a panic point and somehow prevent the damage here. Yeah, you got a body block, I guess. You do get a big hit here. It is a mech. It is going to chain. We need more chain lightning phobies. We just don't have many. Alright. You've locked this one up. I think all of this could have been avoided if you had sent the erratic down sooner. Like, literally 1 turn sooner. Bad guy's actions with the sheep and the brute worst likely change. But then the rest of this entire game looks different. I think the crazier thing is that Omega mattered. This is a good heads-up play, moving the Omega here so that way they can't just reclaim that panic point, rather. Cupcake? Is that really the answer right now? This is just prolonging the inevitable, I think. I think you should have moved the honey bear onto the panic point. I don't think it really matters. But it gives them no ways to do anything. I guess it doesn't really matter. $256 health. And it's just a matter of time until you can run bad guy down. 3-1 panic point advantage. They have to claim something and somehow find a way to close this game out. But now they're in range. Omega might be live at this point. Down goes Klepto. $988 damage is not quite enough. Have we ever seen Omega work? Maybe I should put Omega on the thumbnail. So it is a thought. Maybe Omega goes on the thumbnail. I'm going to write that down. If I can't get the Preacher... maybe I put both? I don't know. We'll see. But either way, that's going to do it for tonight, chat. That's all the games in the hopper. If you're interested in getting your own games here on the Viewer Game Breakdown, hit up the Random Thoughts Discord. The link for that is, of course, in the description. As always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Tune in next time for more Random Thoughts.